Ar-Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. This will be an episode that will discuss the background information of the time period that the message of Islam came upon. Now, this time period is usually referred to as the time of Jahiliya, an Arabic word meaning ignorance. So, the time of ignorance, savagery was prevalent, and prostitution was actually one of the big businesses in Arabia. The Arabs of the time had some very strange marital practices aside from the normal, marital practice, which is wife, husband, and dowry. You had a practice where after the wife and husband got married, the husband would take his wife to another man who would impregnate her, and then the husband would take the wife back and raise that child as his own. Another strange practice was that a woman would lay with less than 10 men, and then after she gives birth, she would summon these men and she would select who she wants to be the father, and none of the men could refuse this. Otherwise, Arab men could marry as many wives as they wanted to. They could marry two sisters at the same time. They could even marry the other wives of their father, so not their mother, other wives of their father. And females basically were really looked down upon as a baby. If you had a female baby, you would bury it or you would kill it. You would much prefer to have a male who could bring in income, which was really sad. Women of the elite that were really respected, people would shed blood if somebody as much as disrespected an elite woman. And that's another characteristic of the Arabs, is that they were ready to shed blood for anything. If you disrespected them, if you talked dirt about their lineage or about their clan, their tribe, they would shed blood. And another thing they're really passionate and proud about is their lineage. So they would memorize their lineage back to God knows how many grandfathers back, and that's their sense of pride. They were also really proud about guests that came to them. So, for example, if you were in the Kaaba and you had pilgrims coming in, you and your neighbor would actually go and fight to host these guests. So, because it's like an honor that, hey, I have guests, it's like a status symbol. You don't have guests, but I do. So, even if you were a poor person and you had, for example, just one camel that actually fed your whole family, you would get a guest, you would slaughter that camel, and your family would go hungry after that. But that's how much they honored their guests. But an admirable thing about the Arabs is that they really prized honesty. Most of the people were honest at the time. If you were caught lying, your reputation would be down the drain. Nobody would want to deal with you again. Nobody would do business with you again. And it's basically the worst thing you could call an Arab is a liar. And the religion of the Arabs was polytheism. It used to be monotheism because it's the Kaaba. It's the religion of Abraham, peace be upon him. But a man by the name of Amr ibn al-Hay, which was a leader of the Meccan area at the time, and one of the leaders there, I guess, and he traveled to Syria for a business trip and brought back some idols. And ever since then, idol worship spread like wildfire. And the Arabs would tell you at the time, no, 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 look, we're not leaving Allah behind. No, no, Allah is still there. He's number one. These idols are below him. We go to these idols so that they can intercede for us with Allah, and they make things easier for us. And that was really their mentality about things, but they really didn't, give Allah his dues as he deserves. So basically, they also had these superstitions, lots of superstitions. They would practice witchcraft. They would go to a seer or a diviner who would help them find a lost item. They would also practice something called Aslam. Aslam are basically arrows. So if you were in dispute of a matter, for example, if you had a child that was given birth to, you would call a diviner. She would bring these Aslam or arrows, and on one arrow she would write or mark, your baby, and on the other arrow she would mark not your baby. And you would randomly pick one of these arrows, and whichever one you fell upon is what your fate is. They also had some strange superstitions, such as if somebody was murdered, their spirit would not go to rest. It would be flying around in the forest until you, as the family member or the relative of the deceased, go and exact revenge on whoever murdered your relative. Lastly, we have the political and the governmental style of the time of Arabia. Arabia was basically ruled by four kingdoms mainly, and under each kingdom you had many territories, many tribes, many clans that were mostly independent. Their relationship with the monarch was really symbolic. they could do whatever they want, you know. So Arabia, in a sense, was very, very divided because you had many territories, many conflicts going on at the time, and these were the circumstances that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came up upon and united the whole of Arabia on. And Assalamu alaikum.